Hello, everyone. This is Jim Sporer with ISSIP, and this is a message to student CEOs everywhere. And I would just like to share a quick presentation I've created based on some questions that I'm getting to JimTwin about advice to student CEOs about the weekly sprints. And This is going to be uploaded as input to JimTwin. So if student CEOs ask me additional questions, hopefully this data will be triggered. But as a student CEO, at part of a student team at some university, trying to help ISSIP leadership improve our academic industry collaboration program, there's three questions I want student CEOs to start thinking about. The first is your workers. What jobs would you assign to your 100 highly skilled workers working for you? Um, they may be software development, they may be marketing, all types of digital workers are coming. The second question, and this one isn't so relevant in the short term, but it's more relevant to industry mentors, is your twin. What jobs would you assign your AI digital twin? For example, I've got an AI digital twin and I assign it two jobs. One is to create um, uh, presentations based on my publications, number one, in any language. And number two is to answer questions of students that I'm mentoring. And then the third question is for yourself. You know, after you assign your workers work and you assign your twin work, what work do you assign yourself? And for that, I assign myself the job of keeping up with accelerating change to follow career passions. And since I'm retired, that's quite different probably from you students who are out there, you know, starting your first jobs. But nevertheless, I think this third question has an answer. And the way I try to keep up with accelerating change is I follow people who are interesting to me. And this is about 30, 28, 30 people that I follow regularly to keep up with trends in artificial intelligence and service science and other things I'm interested in. And I would say probably about half of these people, if I ping them on LinkedIn, I'm connected to more than half of them on LinkedIn, they would get back to me right away. So if you start following people and you read their stuff and you're interested in their stuff and you start saying, hey, what about this? Pretty soon they start developing a relationship with you so you can start actually building uh, a network of relationships with the people who influence you the most. Um, okay, what does success look like for this project of the student CEO? Number one, a white paper, a good white paper. And I've got more elaboration on that on the next slide. But the white paper should come with interesting designed artifacts. What are these designed artifacts? Well, they're descriptions of startup companies. You're a student CEO, especially in the progress section of the white paper. And a guiding mindset for your student CEOs are your are that you're passionate about great innovative startups. Um, Presentation. Once you have the white paper, it's really easy to turn that into a presentation, a good final presentation version of the white paper, and at least one slide per section of the white paper, and each student on the team presenting their particular piece. And that presentation can be recorded, so there's a final recording. And then, you know, somewhere in the white paper, you can have a poster, which is a final picture of the student team with the project poster, which is a one slide version of the project. So this is what success looks like to me as your ISIP mentor and challenge leader. This is what I'm looking for: the white paper, the presentation, the recording, and the poster. Sometime before, obviously, the final week. Um, so the white paper structure, and this is the main deliverable for ISIP, because this is what ISIP leadership, you know, I'll be distributing it. It'll be on our ISIP website. Your names will be associated with it. It's the main deliverable for the client organization, in this case, ISIP. There's a cover page, which has a little bit of information, and then there's a white paper, which has 5 sections, just these 5 sections, and each one can have subsections, of course. But there's an introduction to the problem and its importance, the approach, the method you're using, which includes these weekly sprints. That's why I'm recording this. And you might want to watch this recording at 2x speed because I kind of talk slowly. But if you watch it at 2x speed, it might be better. Progress, your designed artifacts. Okay. Different types of industry academic collaborations may have different designed artifacts as part of their progress. But in this case, we're really talking about the startup ideas, future that the student CEOs create. Future directions, next steps, unsolved challenges, limitations. This section is so important and so fun. Anytime you're doing this project and you get to a point where you're frustrated and you're going, I don't know what to do next, or this is an unsolved challenge, or I feel a limitation. Anytime you feel uncomfortable, make a note and put it in the future direction sections because this will help us do future projects better. So help us by leaving little breadcrumb trails of where the problems and unsolved challenges are. And in the concluding remarks, you should have a nice summary of this plus a call to action. Um, and often the call to action has a quote, some famous quote that inspires us to keep going. Acknowledgements, including the AI digital worker acknowledgements, AI tool acknowledgements, and anybody that helped you, maybe a faculty member, maybe a recent graduate, an alumni mentor, anyone you want to thank, including your AIs that you use to put in the acknowledgements. References, very important. Things that are related to the topic, papers that you read, books, things like that. You can put in the reference sections and make sure you cite them somewhere in the body of the white paper. Appendices. This is where, if there's big parts of the work that and I'll show you some examples of that in a minute, you stick it in the appendices. So that's the white paper structure. And remember why I'm going into the white paper structure so much is because what does success look like? The, the white paper. All of these other things are derivative of the white paper pretty much. So there's the white paper, main deliverable. There are 6 deliverables though. At the start, you'll create a statement of work, what you're planning to do to make sure you understand the client's needs and you have a little bit of a time schedule for how you're going to use the weeks ahead to solve the problem. And then, of course, the deliverable, which is the main deliverable, it gets posted to the ISSIP website, so do a good job. Designed artifacts, including this is included in the main deliverable here as startup descriptions in a business model canvas format, but tuned to the student CEO's academic discipline. So if you're an industrial engineer, tune it that way. If you're a user experience person, tune it that way. If you're a business data scientist, business analytics, tune it that way. If you're management of information systems, tune it that way. So you can tune the business model canvas. It's got 9 questions, but the ones that are most relevant to your discipline, maybe spend a little extra time on improving those. And if the startup idea really excites you and you get, creating a lot of information, maybe you better put that in the appendice and just put a brief description in the main body in the progress update. And then again, there's a presentation, a PowerPoint that gets posted to ISSIP SlideShare. There's a recording that gets posted to ISSIP YouTube and a poster with your team picture, including a diagram in the main deliverable, 1 slide version of the project. So these are the 6 deliverables. And just about any industry mentor is going to want this. Now, who helps you get the job done? Your AI digital workers. We're in the AI era, so you have to learn how to manage multiple AI digital workers. And that's what the purpose of this video is, to show you an example, a concrete example of me doing it, showing you, and I'll show you how I update my version of the document as well. But these are our workers, and they work fast, but they make a lot of mistakes. They use a lot of energy, and unfortunately, they weren't built very ethically. So there are some challenges with these digital workers, but they're the best we got so far, so we're using them. Now, this is a part I haven't spoken to many of the student teams about. It is in the initial description of the project that I've sent out. Um, your AI digital workers, part of their power comes from the fact that they know about many platforms that are out there. I think everybody's heard of LinkedIn. In fact, one of the things we do is we all get connected on LinkedIn. You should connect to your industry mentor with your LinkedIn profile. Um, Kaggle has amazing data sets that are relevant to lots of industry problems. GitHub has all this code relevant to solving industry challenges. So all these different platforms out here are things that your AI digital workers know about, and you should know about them as well. If you're a student CEO, you should you should be thinking, what platform am I going to create for the future that's going to eclipse all of these that currently exist? But get to know the ones that exist and how they came to be and how your AI digital workers might use them in creating the next level platform. All right. Um, Now let's get into it. The main purpose of this presentation is to help you do your weekly sprints. And I say 10 weeks, but maybe there's only 5 weeks left, or maybe there's 15 weeks left. But the point is, you should be thinking about, what do I do every week to make progress on this industry challenge? Even if the industry mentor is not Jim Sporer here from ISSIP, you're working on an industry challenge, you got a certain amount of time, and you want to do these weekly sprints so that you're improving your deliverables that you're going to give to your industry mentor. So each week, you should spend about 1 hour per week asking your AI digital workers um, a question, giving them a task to do. And then you should update your individual appendices. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to do it in a minute, so you'll see what I mean by this. The next thing you do, and I'm not going to show you this because I'm not part of your student team, but once each of you students, CEOs individually, have asked your digital workers to do something, the most important part of the AI era is still human to human interaction. So you should get together as students and talk about what your digital workers did and find the best things, and in an open innovation way, you should be sharing things. So, maybe student A found a really good answer to this question and student B found a really good answer to this question. Well, guess what? Student A and B can incorporate the best results of both and improve their individual white paper. And I would say, just like you spend an hour with your digital workers because they work fast, spend an hour with your other students, and have maybe the first 5 minutes each. Say there's 5 students. Each of you present for 5 minutes about what your digital workers did and what you thought was really good, and what they might want to, what you might want to share. And then in the last 30 minutes, you can grab those pieces, share those documents and start improving your individual white papers. And then number 3 is you share the team's best work with your industry mentor, in this case, me, and update your team white paper. And this only should take about 30 minutes a week. So I think in about 2.5 hours per week, let's say that's doubled, 5 hours a week, you should be able to create a fantastic white paper. And really the big question is, what workflow is best? I've just showed you a workflow, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But maybe there's a better workflow. Again, to help ISSIP, if you can come up with a startup that has a better workflow than this, that would be very helpful. So let's get into it. Here's the first prompt I want to use. So let me get out of this presentation. I think I can do it by, oops, I'm skipping ahead here. So now I'm going to give the first task to my 5 AI digital workers. And let me read it to you so you can see it here. I'm just going to select it all here. Okay. So this is the same prompt I'm going to give all 5 digital workers, and you'll see how fast they work. First, please carefully analyze every section of the uploaded document about student CEOs. I should probably show you that document first that I'm going to upload. So let me show you the document. Okay, I have it over here. It's version 10. Here it is right here. So this document is my version of the white paper as your mentor. You can see it's 83 pages long, and I keep improving it. And by the way, I upload it to your Slack, the ISSIP Slack. Steal anything you want from this white paper, version of the white paper. And it is, here's my version of the white paper with the 5 sections. You can steal any part of it that you think is good. Here are my appendices, getting started with the students, what the digital workers do, and Appendix C is about things I upload to my digital twin to improve the answers that my digital twin gives the students. Okay, so this is the document that I'm asking that I upload every time I give my digital workers a task on this project. I always upload this paper, but this paper is getting bigger and bigger. But don't worry, your AI digital workers can consume hundreds of pages of stuff. That's, unlike people, they upload it really quickly, and if you ask them to carefully analyze it, you can get really, really good results. So let's go back to the prompt here. Um, I guess I should go to full screen so you can see it better. Okay. So first, please carefully analyze every section of the uploaded document. Now, you as individual student CEOs, you should have your version of this document. I just showed you mine. Copy it if you want, but um, your version can be special to you in many ways that are important. First, please carefully analyze every section of the uploaded document about student CEOs helping ISSIP.org leadership improve the ISSIP AI academic industry collaboration program to overcome industry mentor objections to working with student teams at universities on challenging industry real-world problems. So first, I ask my AI worker to carefully analyze this document, 83 pages. Second, suggest 3 weekly sprint ideas for student CEOs to create a great final white paper with artifacts and a startup plan. Okay. Third, based on a deep and penetrating analysis of the document, including Appendix B5 and B6, this is where I asked it to generate startup ideas, suggest 3 startup ideas. They've already created like 150 startup ideas, but suggest 3, so filter those down to just 3 that are in the business model canvas form. But before starting, and this you should put on every prompt, before starting, is the task clear? Any questions for me? So let's get to it. So I've copied this. I don't know how much time has passed, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But now we go out to my browser, and you should always have a browser set up with, guess what? Your 5 AI digital workers, and here's mine. So you can see I've got ChatGPT in this tab, I've got Claude in this tab, I've got Google Gemini in this tab, I've got Microsoft Copilot in this tab, and I've got Kimi AI in this tab. And please feel free to add other tabs with other digital workers. Remember the first question, what would you do if you had 100 digital workers? Hopefully something great. So what I do is I just paste that in here. Okay. And then I add my file, which is in my downloads folder in, where is it? Where is it? So right at the top, of course. And it's version 10 right there at the top. So I'm going to upload this. And I think I'm going to go over here to, usually I keep the prompts in a text file. It just makes it a little easier to copy and paste them. So then I just say go. Okay, and while that one's going, I come over here and I put this in Claude and I add my file, same file, boom, done. Now I go over to Google Gemini. Hello, Google Gemini. And I upload my file. There it is, version 10. And of course, the output will be an update to version 11. And I say go. Why is this not going? Oh, it's still reading in the document. Okay, it's right in the document. Now I say go. Now I go to Microsoft Copilot, put in my prompt, the same prompt, of course, add images or file. I go here. Let's see how fast it uploads this time. A little slower. Okay, now it's done. Done. And Kimmy. Okay, Kimmy, your turn. And I add the file. Boom, boom. Okay, it's uploaded. Parsing it. Okay. Now it's done. Okay, so now I go back to my first digital worker. And it says, yes, the task is very clear and very well framed. This is a deep ask, not a surface one. Thumbs up. You're essentially asking me to read the whole document as a system, not as a paper. Especially internalize Appendix B5, mentor obstacles and startups, and B6, worker evaluation and manager feedback as signals about what really matters. Then design 3 high leverage weekly sprints for student CEOs that naturally produce a strong white paper and artifacts. 3 serious startup concepts expressed in business model canvas form that are tightly grounded in what the document is actually trying to solve for ISSIP and industry mentors. So this is less summarize and more reverse engineer the intent of the whole system and turn it into actions for the student. That's pretty cool. That's clear. 2 clarifying questions that will materially improve the quality of the results. These are not procedural. They affect the startup ideas and sprint design. What academic disciplines will the spring 2026 students most likely come from? I'm going to say all of those. All of those. Do you want the startup ideas to be things students could actually launch after graduation, or conceptual service systems that primarily help ISSIP mentors? I'm going to say actual launch after graduation. Very different BMCs depending on this. But that would be fun to explore if you had more time with your digital workers. If you're happy for me to assume mixed majors and bias towards realistic startups, it's already anticipated what I was going to answer. I can proceed without waiting. Once you confirm, I will blah, 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 blah. Confirmed. Go for it. Okay, now it's working away. So let's go over to Claude. Let's see. And sometimes I forget to push the enter, which I did for Claude. So, okay, Claude is getting going now. Now let's go back to Google Gemini. Google Gemini says, the task is very clear. I have analyzed the document, which details the ISSIP AICollab program and the role of student CEOs in leveraging AI digital workers to solve industry collaboration barriers. The primary goal is to help industry mentors overcome objections such as lack of time, data privacy concerns, and unpredictable student work quality by designing startup service system innovation. I am ready to provide the deep analysis, sprint ideas, and business model canvas you requested. Before I proceed, do you have any specific industry or academic disciplines you would like the startup to focus on? Same as the other one. So I guess I should have been more specific there. Otherwise, what is the breakdown? Here is the breakdown of the requested information. Okay, analyze of student CEO role, mentor objections. Okay, yeah. Suggested weekly sprint ideas. Yeah. Oh, it's already doing it. Sprint 1, the objection solution matrix idea phase. Sprint 2, the AI digital twin validation testing phase. Sprint 3, the artifact synthesis production phase. Startup ideas, business model canvas, twin triage. Okay, so it just jumped in and did it. Would you like me to expand any of these sections or move forward with a specific startup focus? Thanks. Great help. We'll circle back later. And sometimes when I say I will circle back later, it gives me other ideas. So it's always good to say you'll circle back later. Okay, let's go to Microsoft Copilot. And I'm going to, before I go to Microsoft Copilot, I'm going to take a short break. So let me pause this recording. Where's the recording pause button? More pause recording. Okay, I'm back. I guess it goes without saying, anytime you feel a little fatigued when you're doing this stuff, because it is kind of physically exhausting if you do a lot of it, stand up, stretch, take a break, and then come back to it. So now let's look what uh, Microsoft Copilot said. First, carefully analyze. Okay, that's my prompt. Got it, Jim. That's a rich, multi-layered task, and yes, the overall ask is clear. Analyze the full document. Propose three weekly sprint structures for the student CEOs to produce a final white paper. From a deep analysis of the doc, propose three startup ideas in business model canvas format. But there's one blocker. I can't actually access the contents of the attached document. It's going through as blocked. To do what you're asking at the level, I need at least one of these. Option one, paste the full text of the document. Option B, paste summaries. Two quick questions. Okay, so sometimes what happens, I fed it the Microsoft Word volley document. It's interesting that Microsoft blocked on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out here. I'm going to open the document. I'm going to save it as a PowerPoint file and see if that makes a difference. All right, I'll export that. And then I'll go back to my digital worker and I'll say two quick questions so I can tune the sprints. Okay, so paste summaries. Two quick questions so I can tune the sprints in Startup Canvas. Primary audience for the final white paper is ISSIP leadership, or all three equally, industry mentors, university partners. I'm going to say all three equally. Time frame, are you imagining a 3-week sequence of sprints or longer? I'm going to say 3 weeks. So uh, please see if you can access the attached PDF summary of the document. Say all three equally and 3 weeks. Okay, because those are the questions. So let's go back here. Now we see we've got the PDF, which is only 1.3 megabytes instead of 6 megabytes, so that might make a difference too. And now let's see. Okay, I'm just curious if it's going to accept that document. It's going to analyze it for a while. Okay, so let's go over to Kimmy here. Yes, the task is perfectly clear. Before I proceed, I have one clarifying question. Question on scope for the 3 startup ideas. Should there be net new startup concepts I invent based on the obstacle solutions in Appendix BSC, or should I select and refine existing startups into the business model canvas? My assumption is you'd like me to synthesize the strongest, most original document. So I'm going to say yes, your assumption is correct. Once you confirm, I'll deliver blah, blah, blah. Yes, your assumption is correct. Go for it. All right, so it's working away. Now let's go back to Claude because I forgot to hit the upload. Okay, I'll help you analyze the document and provide strategic recommendations for student CEOs working on ISSIP AICollab program. Let me first read the document and understand its full context. Viewed 2 files, ran a command. Now let me read and analyze the uploaded document. Run a command view of file. Perfect. I've thoroughly analyzed the document. Now let me provide you with my comprehensive response. Okay, so it has created questions for you. Before proceeding with my detailed analysis, I have 3 clarifying questions. Sprint timeline context. Are the 3 weekly sprints you're requesting meant to be the final 3 weeks of the 14 program, the first 3 weeks? To establish momentum, a mid-intensive, I'm going to say first 3 weeks. First 3 weeks. Okay, startup ideas focus. For the 3 business model canvas ideas, should I prioritize high feasibility solutions? Yes. High innovation solutions or mixed portfolio? I'm going to say high feasibility. In other words, things you could actually do as a student. High feasibility. Primary audience. Who's the primary audience? current PSU 2026 students specifically, template for the future ISSIP cohorts, ISSIP leadership to inform program design. I would say the primary audience of this is going to be the template. Okay. Okay. So there it goes. All right. So we come back here, and we've got, um, let's see where we are here. Okay. Looks like it did some creative work here. There's startup number 3, startup number 2, synthetic challenge factory, startup number 1, executive twin office hours platform. Okay. And sprint number 3 was make them real. Sprint number 2, design the missing service system. Sprint number 1, map the obstacle space. That was part 2. And it looks like it did this as well. Okay. So it did a pretty good job. So now I've got the result from worker 1. So I go down here and I copy it. And then I start a new Word document. And I put in worker 1 result. Paste. Okay. And that's what I'm going to do next. Worker 2 result. Okay. So we go back. Worker 2 is still working. Google, I think, had finished. Okay. Now it did suggest some other things it could do. But let's just go here and copy this. And we'll say this is worker 2. So now we've got worker 2 results. Go to my Word document. I think I'm going to say worker 3 because I like to keep them kind of in order. Worker 3 result. I think I'll put an underscore there so I can search for it easily. Okay. So there's my worker 3 result. Okay, now you can guess the next worker 4 result. Okay. And I just briefly skimmed through those results. If I was really doing this and going to select the best and have a brainstorming session with you all about it, I would read them again more carefully. I skim them, but then I go back and read carefully if I'm going to discuss it with another human being so that they know I've actually done my work of actually reading my AI digital workers result. But I'm trying to show you the workflow, so I'm skimping a little bit on the detailed reading. So let's go to Microsoft Copilot and see what it says. Okay. So you see, it's like Microsoft is like saying, I don't want to upload that document for some reason. I checked again, Jim, both the docx and the PDF version of the white paper are still coming through as blocked, which means I can't read or extract any of that content. The system is giving me the same block by its content status for both. To move forward with a deep analysis, I'll need one of these 2 workable options. Paste the text directly. You can paste the full document in chunks, even large ones. I can handle long inputs and construct the input. Okay. Let's test that. So let's go to version 10. These are the kind of problems you run into, so you just kind of go with them. So I'm going to cut and paste the whole 25,000 words and see what it does. So now let's go back and say use as much of this as you can. plain text. All right. There we go. And plain text. Oh, it got it. Oh, move forward, paste any one of these, the whole document in chunks. Once I can start the deep analysis whenever you're ready. The system is blocking every file you've uploaded, so there is literally zero readable content. I think we might give up on that. Microsoft is having some problems. I've never seen that problem before. I'll try to figure it out later. But here we have our Kimmy did its job. And now let's go grab, copy it, and put it in as okay. Let's put it in as worker 5 into this document. Again, I hope you're watching this video at 2x speed because I'm speaking very slowly. Okay, so this should be worker 5 result. Okay, so that's worker 5. Now let's go back. We've got almost all our worker results in. So let's go check. There's our worker result 1. Now let's look for worker 2. Okay, oops. We're going to find worker 2. Yeah. It's not working. Hmm. 2. Okay, worker 2 result. I still don't have worker 2, so let me go out and back to Claude, and it's still thinking. So Claude is like, Claude is stuck. Looks like so far we got 3 of our 5 digital workers did their job. And in the interest of time, normally I usually give it just a simpler task. I gave it a very complex task, 3 things it had to do. And clearly that was more than my AI digital workers were up to. So I could go back and give them simpler tasks. And I've done that in the past and had no problems with any of them. But let me just go back here now to my Word document and say this one failed to provide input. And let's go to worker 4 and say failed to provide input. Failed to provide input. That sometimes happens. Okay, so now I've got this document. I'm going to save worker results. And I'm going to give it a date, 2026, 0203. Worker results. Okay. And this was a pretty complex task. And I'm going to put it up here in on my desktop. Okay, desktop. And just save it. Okay. So now that I've done that, I want to, I could go through and read those and extract the best ones, and that's what I would normally do. But I want to show you one more thing that I do in my workflow, which is I go back here and I say things like, want to be notified when Claude responds. Um, Not really. I'm going to go to the 3 workers that completed the task, and I'm going to say, thank you. I'm going to go to new chat. Okay. And I'm going to say, go back to my presentation. And now this is prompt 2. And my prompt 2 is please carefully analyze in detail the uploaded document showing work results for 5 workers. Next, for each worker, provide a supportive coaching industry manager feedback statement to be read to each of the workers, summarizing the work results, describing the 3 positive sentences about the work result, 3 sentences suggesting areas for improvement in the work result, as well as a private list of 3 sentences for the manager to fact check in the work result. Before starting, is the task clear? Any questions for me? Okay, so now I take that prompt and I go back and put that in here. And now, though, what I do, oh, and I guess I should put the prompt over here and cut and paste it here so I have it as text. Okay, so now what I want to do is upload that file I just created and put on the desktop with the work results. So I go here, add photos. Oh, why is it not working? There we go. Desktop. Okay, and where is the work result? Work results. Okay, so we go here and upload that. And there you go. Okay, Google Gemini also did a good job. So let's come to Google Gemini, cut and paste. Oops, actually, we don't want to do that here. We want to, I find it best to start a new chat. So start a new chat and then upload this file, which is work results. Okay. And it's in fast mode. We probably get more from Google if we went into some other mode, but I'm always curious what fast mode gives. So let's do that. And then Kimmy did a pretty good job. So let's come here to Kimmy and let's see if we can we have a new chat. And now we're gonna send me a hard one. Okay. I'm gonna add these files again, the worker results, and upload that. Okay, done. And I'm not going to worry about Claude because it's still working. And I'm not going to worry about Microsoft Copilot because there was some file format problem. But for the 3 workers that did come back, I'm going to, you know, get them to analyze the worker results. Okay, so yes, the task is very clear. You want me to carefully analyze the uploaded document containing 5 worker results for each worker, write a supportive coaching style management feedback statement that includes a short summary of the work result, 3 positive sentences about the work result, 3 sentences suggesting areas for improvement, a private list of 3 sentences for the manager to fact check in the work result, not to be read by the worker. No questions needed. I'm ready to proceed. Okay. Let's great. Go for it. Okay. Google Gemini. Task is very clear. I've analyzed the provided document, which contained detailed work results. 5 AI workers, 3 of them who provided content, and two of them who failed regarding the ISSIP AICollab. I have noted the core objective, blah, blah, blah. I have one clarifying question. Would you like the areas for improvement to focus on pedagogical structure of their proposed sprints, or should they focus on commercial viability? I'm going to say pedagogical, just out of curiosity. Please proceed. And now let's check out Kimmy. Okay, so yes, the task is clear. Carefully analyzed the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before I proceed with the detailed coaching, I have clarifying questions. For the private list of 3 sentences for the manager fact check, would you like me to focus on factual claims about external entities, internal consistency? Both types of, I'm going to say option C. Once you confirm, I'll provide the complete coaching. Okay, which option would you prefer the fact check? Please proceed. Okay, so there it goes. So let's go back here. Okay, Great. ChatGPT is done. Okay. If you'd like, I could condense these into one paragraph scripts for quicker live delivery. Not necessary. Worker 5 feedback. You performed a very deep structural analysis, 3 positives. Yep, there they are. 3 areas for improvement. Responses are dense. And then 3 facts to verify. Great. Um, Worker 5 for feedback. Remember, there was nothing there. You did not submit the work result for the task. So it did try to provide some interesting feedback there. Okay, worker 3 feedback. Okay, very good. Again, I usually just skim it looking for keywords that I might include if I was going to discuss it with another person, which one was best and why I think it's best. But this is all good. So now what I do is I copy this, I create another new Word document. Okay, and then I put in again worker 1 result. And I usually put up here prompt 2, because this was prompt 2. I usually do that. I should have probably put the prompt in there, but I didn't. So worker 1 result is here. Okay, and my prompt 2 is this, so I can put that at the top. That way I remember. And then I'm going to put all these back into my appendix sections of the white paper. So, okay, so now that's in there. And let's go to worker 3. Okay. Oh, worker 1 system architect. Interesting. Areas for improvement. Oh, okay. Again, it takes time to carefully read all of these things. And again, after you've done this many, many times, like I have, you can usually scan through it and see things that jump out at you saying, oh, that would be interesting. Alex techno-optimism. So it actually looked at the reference section of the paper. Okay, I see things in here that are kind of cool. So now this was worker 3. So I'm going to go back to this paper and put worker 2 TBD. I'll circle back and put that in. Worker 3 result is this. And I know worker 4 result is going to be TBD. That was Microsoft Copilot. So I'm going to have to circle back on that one. And then I've got worker 5 result. Result. Okay. And let's go check that right now. So, Kimmy, how did you do? Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. There's some interesting stuff in here about trust and 48-hour rule and percentage of the white paper. And yeah, this is something I'm going to definitely want to go back and read more carefully. Oh, it's still working on it. Okay, is that worker? That's worker 3. Okay, so it's still working on this. Let's see if, oh, ah, Claude finally finished. That's the other thing you see is sometimes it takes a long time to finish. And Claude has this kind of interesting double pane approach to everything. So, wow, it did a great job. It took a long time, but it really did a fantastic job on the business model canvas. So now I'm going to copy this and put that back over into my previous document. Okay. Over two. I think I'm getting you probably confused at this point, so I'm just going to um, end this video here. Um, but basically what I do at this point, I'm going to have to go back because of the difficulties we ran into. But then what I'll do, and you'll see it in my version 11 white paper, is I will go to my big 83 page long document that's version 10, and I'll put in new appendice B for what the workers did on these two prompts. And I'll add that. Now my paper is going to be over 100 pages long. And I'll change the date, and I'll change this to V11, and then I'll upload it into the ISSIP Slack for the student CEOs. Anyway, that's enough. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank those of you who had the patience to watch all of this. Hopefully, most of you watched the beginning at least. And uh, I think I've been recording now for uh, at least 45 minutes, maybe almost an hour. And I do recommend that if you watch this, and I'll put this in the Slack when I paste the link to it, that you watch it at 2x speed because I tend to talk slowly. And you can always slow down for sections that you want to hear twice. All right, that's good enough. That's good enough for advice on how to do weekly sprints for this time around. So I'm going to stop the recording and upload it to the ISSIP YouTube and share it with the student CEOs. Bye for now.